All right, our North American neighbors, Canada and the U.S., are each other's largest trading partners, with 3/4 of Canada's exports going to the U.S. Trade, of course, is a big issue, and it's one that investors are trying to figure out. What does it mean if it's a Harris presidency? What does it mean if it is a Trump presidency? For more on this, let's bring in Stephen Myrow, managing partner at Beacon Policy Advisors. Stephen, I imagine you get that question almost daily. What do you say?
You're right. We get it on a regular basis, and clearly this is a toss-up election at the presidential level, and you're going to see big differences on trade between a Harris administration and a Trump administration. I think the key things for people in Canada to focus on is, while Harris would probably be more continuity from the Biden administration when it comes to trade, Trump administration, Trump 2.0 will look different than Trump 1.0. Trump 1.0, there were tariffs, but there was a big debate within the administration of whether to put them on and how much to put them on. This time around, Trump sees tariffs as a versatile tool that solves all the issues that he would be focused on, and he will be looking to use it wherever possible, not just as leverage, but as an end in and of itself. The most important things, I believe, for Canada would be, on the trade front, would be the threat of a universal baseline tariff. And also, July of 2026, you have what we call the U.S. MCA, but I believe you guys put the C first. But in any event, that is a agreement comes up for review, and Trump undoubtedly would use brinksmanship and the threat of pulling out of it to try to extract some concessions, which would put a nice cloud of uncertainty over the business community in Canada for the next couple of years.
Well, especially if the trade representative is Bob Lighthizer again, and in a second administration, maybe a little bit more emboldened. Do you expect, the cast of characters to be reprised?
I think some of them will be. You had Howard Lutnick, who is a big donor from Wall Street, yesterday come out and is nominally the head of, or one of the top people involved in Trump's transition planning, saying it's going to be all about loyalty, that the first time around there were a bunch of people who thwarted Trump's plans. And I think they're talking about, the typical traditional establishment Republicans. I don't think you'll see any of those people back in this administration. I think it will be a mix of old and new. But the other thing important with Trump, though, is it doesn't matter really where you sit. It's, how much do you have his ear, and particularly who had his ear last. So I don't think it really matters if Lighthizer is USTR, Treasury Secretary in the White House, as long as one of the ways that Lighthizer has been very effective with Trump is, number one, he knows not to steal Trump's thunder. So he cares more about the policy, but less about getting the attention. And secondly, he stays in his lane, and he's very focused on trade. So that's why he's so effective. So I think you're right. People like Lighthizer are worth watching.
The conventional wisdom appears to be, Trump, a bit of a wild card on trade, although he seems pretty clear on what he wants to get out of it, and it's U.S. dominance first. Harris and Biden ultimately didn't dismantle a lot of what Trump did on trade, particularly as it relates to China, and in some instances went even further.
Yeah, when it comes to tariffs and protectionism, once it's put on, it's really hard to take off because of domestic politics. So this isn't about rolling things back. It's about the degree to which things are increased. But there's another interesting angle here, Amber, to think about, which is Biden administration, as much as it's pursued rebuilding multilateral approaches, with the Inflation Reduction Act, ruffled a lot of feathers around the world, and particularly in Canada, because it sets up competition among countries in many respects for the renewable energy and the innovative energy industries. And so one of the interesting things is Trump is looking to dismantle a lot of the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm not sure he'll be able to dismantle all of it, but that does create some opportunities. For example, if he's not providing, if he's making moves to not allow for subsidization of, say, EV battery plants in the U.S., that could inure in that particular space to Canada's benefit. The question is, will it be a net positive or net negative when you bring in all the trade implications? And it's hard to sort all that out in the abstract.
All right, Stephen, thanks so much.